Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I have a very special guest, Jack Hauck, and I've known Jack for many years, and he knows gemstones. And we have always used and recommended gemstones according to the astrological birth chart for years. They have a profound effect on healing the body. And as many know, in Indian astrology, gemstone that we look at their recommendations in terms of how they heal or how they bring out the planetary energy in a chart is very important. So I wanted to bring Jack on to explain to you how the gemstones work and how you can actually get the gemstones from Jack, because he is a great source of information. But not only, you can buy gemstones from him, and he has the really powerful ones for healing that are not heat treated or not processed or somehow that their powers are destroyed in any way. The powers are, he only uses the best and most powerful gemstones. So Jack, tell us a little bit about how you I want to say prescribe, but I know that's not the right word, recommend, because recommending a gemstone is what you're doing, not prescribing. So I want to make that clear, because for so many years we've used that terminology, and Jack says that's not proper. So describe how you use gemstones and what they're good for and why.
Okay, thank you, Joan. Yes, gemstones have been around in Vedic astrology for millennia. The ancient sages and saints of India, that they've recommended these. And what they're saying is that when you're born and you look at a horoscope, what you're looking at is a snapshot of the karma that you're going to face in this lifetime. And an astrologer can give you a reading, and then you say, okay, now what? Well, Vedic astrology has a whole science called the upayas, or the remedial measures. And gemstones are just one of them, but they're one of the strongest of the upayas. And they say, for instance, you have a karma that you have to face in this lifetime. Well, is there anything that you can do that helps to mitigate or to nullify or to improve the situation? And one of the most powerful is the use of gemstones. And for instance, the principal gemstones that are used, and for the sun is ruby, for the moon is the pearl, for Mars, red coral, for Rahu is hessonite garnet, for Jupiter is yellow sapphire, for Saturn is blue sapphire, for Mercury is emerald, and for the planet K2 is crystal beryl cat's eye, and then for Venus is diamond.
So is there another gemstone that you can recommend that's a semi-precious instead of the precious? Does that work as well? Do you believe that?
We do. It's understandable that some of these gemstones can be beyond a person's ability to afford. And I like to say that you want to have gemstones that you can afford and not create a financial hardship. And so with some of the more expensive gemstones, such as for the diamond, which is used for Venus, and would be white sapphire. And for the sun, which the principal gem is ruby, you might have a red spinel or a red garnet. For yellow sapphire, could be, for Jupiter is yellow topaz. For Saturn, principal stone is the blue sapphire. You could use an amethyst, and so on. So there are secondary stones that can be used. And I have on my website, I have a list of the principal gems and a list of secondary stones.
Perfect. So looking at these gemstones, when you prescribe them, and I know I prescribe gemstones many times, is there a certain way that you look at the planets in terms of which ones you recommend?
Absolutely. Sometimes you will see that if the dashas are the planetary cycles in Vedic astrology, and the one thing about the dashas is that they bring out, that they emphasize or accentuate the karmas that are going on, that whenever you have a dasha cycle that's going on, think of a light bulb going off in that house, that's really where a lot of the karmas are going to come to fruition. Well, many people, many astrologers will recommend a gem, say, well, you're in such and such a dasha. Well, then you wear the gemstone for that dasha. Say you're in a Saturn cycle, so you would, which is for Saturn, so you would wear a blue sapphire. But the problem with that is, what if blue sapphire is an enemy to the chart? And what I mean by that is that there are two major camps of planets, and that are friendly to each other, but sort of an enemy to the other. And the one is Sun, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter is one camp.
Okay.
In the other camp, you would have Mercury, Venus, and Saturn. Mm-hmm. So if you are strengthening, and say, for instance, I'm an Aries ascendant. So the planets that would be strong for my chart is Sun, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter. And mainly because they rule the strong houses for an Aries, the 1st, 4th, 5th, 9th. Now, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, the triconal houses are the ones that primarily I'm looking at in terms of prescribing a gemstone. I want the planets that rule the triconals because they're the positive houses, correct?
Right, 1, 5, and 9.
Yeah.
However, if you go ahead and strengthen a planet that is an enemy to your chart, you could be strengthening karmas, and you would be strengthening the power of a house that is not friendly to your chart. Perhaps let's say the 12th house or the 8th house or the 6th house. You don't want to be strengthening the karmas in those houses.
I agree, because you're going to bring out the difficulties, and I think you've got to find a planet that's positive but needs help, right? That needs strengthening.
Right.
Yeah, so what do you mean by strengthening, or what kind of planet? Give us an example of what planet may need strengthening.
Well, for instance, myself as an Aries ascendant, I have Jupiter in the 12th house, and it's in the sign of Pisces, in its own sign, which is, in one sense, it's a good placement, but in another sense, you might say, well, it could use some strengthening. So I do wear a yellow sapphire. I also have the Sun, which is the ruler of the 5th for Aries, and it's also in the 12th. So I wear a stone that strengthens the Sun.
Okay, so I understand how to prescribe gemstones now. Tell me some of your personal experiences when, the minute you put on a gemstone, do you feel a difference? Do you have like these epiphanies or realizations? Tell me some of your experiences with gemstones and how they've affected your personal life.
When you put a gemstone on, some people say that yes, they feel something immediately, but the real effect of gemstones is largely, in a sense, behind the scenes, because the karma that we're dealing with, those are astrological forces that each of the planets send to us. Mm-hmm. And we're always being affected by it. That's why the transits are so powerful, is that the planetary energies change from time to time. That's why the dashas are so powerful, because the energy of one planet is coming and affecting us for a number of years in the dashas. The transits is less so in a shorter period of time. But you still want to be strengthening the planets that you need the most. If you are strengthening a planet that's just already strong in the chart, and that may be giving you too much of a good thing. So you want to have sort of a balanced team. You don't want a weak planet that's friendly to your chart. Strengthen that one. Now, I've seen that in a lot of people's lives, that I tell them when I recommend a gemstone that yes, you may feel something on the surface, but look behind the scenes. Look at the reason why you're wearing the gemstone in the first place.
Yes.
And if you're good for your health, it may not be today or tomorrow, but look down the road. Look a month from now, 3 months, 6 months, and see if the reason you put the gemstone on in the first place is helping you.
Right, right. So when we look at the planetary energy, we're talking about the Sun in terms of the ego, the confidence. We talk about Mercury in terms of communication skills, Venus with love and romance, Mars with energy and courage, and Saturn with discipline, and Jupiter with expansion and opportunities. Does this always create these effects with empowering these particular planetary energies?
That is that is the purpose of the gems.
Oh, and I forgot the moon. The moon's going to deal with the emotional body, yes, and feelings, sensitivity, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So if someone is having trouble with emotional issues, and the moon is friendly to the chart, friendly to the ascendant, then you would wear a pearl. And the idea, the concept behind it is that it would help to strengthen the karma, the energy.
I want to tell you something interesting about the pearl. I find that when a woman's trying to get pregnant and she starts to wear a pearl, that usually, not always, but usually all of a sudden they get pregnant. Have you found that to be?
That has happened. Also, one other interesting fun thing is that Jupiter, of course, is the planet of expansion. It's the great benefic. And people will wear yellow sapphire to produce expansion in a lot of things. However, it can also increase a person's weight.
Oh my goodness, we don't want that.
Which is not always the best thing.
Right.
But sometimes a person will recognize the fact that, yes, that may happen as a secondary effect, but they want to wear the yellow sapphire because for another reason. But there are side effects, which also brings another point, is that just as gemstones can help you, you want to make sure that you're not going to wear a gemstone that could harm. And I know of 3 instances, these 3 people who didn't know one another. They told me these stories, and that they had all been wearing a blue sapphire for Saturn.
Right.
And that Saturn is that nothing good comes in life without a good Saturn. Saturn is the planet of responsibility and of structure. However, Saturn is also a rascal, so you have to be careful with Saturn. And these 3 people had each been wearing a blue sapphire, and both of them told me one of them had been wearing it for health reasons, another for relationship, and another for finances. So there were 3 separate areas of their lives, and each one of them were having difficulty in those areas.
Okay.
And all 3 of them took off the blue sapphire, and things cleared up for them.
Incredible.
And
that's amazing.
It's hard. There's actually really no machine that you can attach to a gemstone and say, hey, such and such occurred, or it ameliorated or nullified a certain percentage of a gemstone. But these are the kinds of examples coming through people's lives of that you can see that it can have an effect for good or for bad. So you do have to be careful with the gems, because they are, in a sense, they are medicine.
Yes, and I was always told that not to wear the gemstone for Rahu, because yes, Rahu can be great for business, but it can harm your health. Have you ever heard that?
I was in Rahu for 18 years, and I did wear a gem for Rahu during the planetary cycle. But then when the cycle was over, then I took the stone off.
Did it help business?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's great, but it could cause some kind of health problems. Because remember, I always think of Rahu. Rahu gives, but with a price. So you gotta realize, what is that price, and are you willing to pay? But
Right.
It will give advantages. So I've heard that about Rahu. So I'm kind of leery to wear Rahu, but I'm glad to hear you had good results with it.
I did.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about how we can get in contact with you, and if somebody would like a gem prescription or recommendation, how they can find you. And do you have like gemstones for sale, pictures of them, or where people can see what you have available?
Yes. My name again is Jack Hauck, Hauck, and I do have a website. It's called Healing Gems, and it's with 1 G, so it's HealingEms.com. And I do have pictures of gemstones.
Good.
I do have some material on there that helps to give you more of a background of the use of gemstones. And there's some very pretty pictures of the different gemstones and the secondary stones, and also some photos of beautiful rings and pendants, and gives you ideas of how you can wear the gemstones.
Do you design different jewelry styles or anything with that?
I I personally don't, but I do have jewelers that I work with that
Okay.
that have given me some very, very good ideas.
Right. Well, I highly, highly recommend Jack. And if you've been looking to wear a gemstone to change your life in any way, to accentuate the positive in your chart, this is the guy to go to. This is the go-to guy with all of our Vedic needs for gemstones. So I thank you for watching, and remember, if you want to really work with gemstones, this is the answer. So with that, I'll leave you, and we can talk about gemstones at a later date, but thank you for watching.
Okay. Thank you, Joni.
Thank you.